Hello and welcome to a new series which is called Why I Love, where I'm going to be talking to people about the things that they love, whether that's, food, drink, any kind of media, films, TV, songs. I'm just getting a bit of a look into why they love it and see if maybe it's something that... Shut up, sheep boy. Seeing if it's something that I could possibly get into myself. And I thought no one better to start this off with than my lovely pixelated wife here, Rach.
I'm sorry, I'm on a shitty laptop. I'm not good enough to have a good camera or a good mic. And my green screen is actually my headboard and my bedroom wallpaper.
No, that's not green screen.
Sorry. No, I know, but that's what I'm saying. I don't have a green screen. I'm in the house. I mean, to be fair though, I can see half the living room. What happened to your green screen? Why are you at a funny angle? Oh wait, is that just me that can see that? Yeah, oh sorry, I've spoiled the illusion.
I've put a camera on here for you so that you can see when I'm talking to you. But my actual camera is here. This is the one that the viewers are seeing, which I've got you in my prompter so that I can see you here. So when I'm talking, I'm actually looking at that. But I can't do that and that at the same time because that.
I was going to say yeah, okay. Because I can't see chat or anything. This is weird. It just feels like me and you on a Zoom call. And you're downstairs. You
could have chat on your mobile phone.
You should have told me that before.
Exactly. As I just said on Scroobius... I don't even watch
your streams when I'm on it.
As I just said on Scroobius Pip stream, my wife had a Twitch review come in, a Twitch recap of the year, and I said, oh, it'd be interesting to see your Twitch recap. Probably a lot of hours watching me. 14 hours watching me. And that's only because there was a big chunk where she watched my 16-hour stream, which she didn't even watch me the whole time.
I left it on.
But you missed 2 hours of it.
In the background. You were in my peripheral.
What about the last 2 hours? Or the first 2 hours? Or 2 hours in the middle?
You lost the plot in those 2 hours and I lost interest, clearly. But then that also means if I watched 14 hours of your charity stream that I haven't watched anything else.
Yeah, you haven't watched anything else through the year. So
I used to be really I am
supportive.
I still
go
subscribe.
On, say supportive. You were going to say supportive. You were going to say supportive. Say I used to be supportive, but now I'm not. Go on, that's what she was going to say.
No,
Chat.
but I used to watch your streams all the time, every single day. I remember the days when you were nobody and I was a fan there. I was a hardcore supporter. I've been a subscriber for a gajillion years.
Cody, I stream in the evenings. Jack's asleep at that point. And the other day I stream is in the daytime.
On the topic of what we are talking about today, I've got Smutty Books to read.
We're getting that money from
Unless you
Daddy
start
Jeff with
doing
this,
audiobooks on your stream.
Thank you to Jesse for the Prime sub. I have noticed your question, Jesse. It is getting added to the list. I will ask Rach that.
Oh my god, there's questions.
Well, there's going to be questions during this. There's bound
to be. No, but I'm nervous now.
You should be
my
nervous.
answer's not very good.
Oh,
okay. Go on then. Are you introing? What are we doing?
I'm just saying a quick hello to the people in chat. When this car was in nice and early. Hello, Cody. Booch, yes, I was late. Is Taff his own boss? Should have a word with himself.
He's always late. Do any of you? If he says he's going to start at 8.
This is not a stream about you criticizing me. If you want to do that, if you want to do a Rach criticizes Taff stream, we can do that because that is another thing that you love to do.
Yeah, to do. Yes. So, yeah. I'll be on the next one of things as you like.
Hello, Kada. Hello, Howie. Hello, Roseb. Andy. Andy, it's nice to see you back. Did you go check out the topless streamers? I've
actually like my kind of stream. Hang on, why am I in this chat?
I've actually tagged this stream as sexual content, which is a new thing that Twitch are allowing. So Twitch have changed their terms of service. There was a bit of a Twitch meta going on where there were femme streamers who were streaming like topless, but like or not topless maybe, but streaming, so it was basically the stream would be cut off right above their nipple line, so they would like jiggle and stuff, but you wouldn't actually be able to see anything. So it became a bit of a meta for a while, because technically they weren't breaking Twitch terms of service because they were not showing anything, but yeah, it became a bit of a running joke over Twitch the last few days, and as a result, Twitch have made a load of changes to their terms of service. They have actually added some other tags and stuff. So I've put a sexual content tag on this stream because I figure it's gonna
be
get
talking about some TNA
a little bit. Jesse has asked Rach, which I know is something that we're gonna encounter at some point during this. So I might save that question for later on. That
was a tease.
I'm gonna
stay tuned, chat, for Jesse's question. Stay
tuned, Jesse, in particular, because your question.
Hope it was a good one, Jesse, because it's been built up a bit now.
It has been built up. Hello, Booch. Thank you again, Jesse. Hello, VT. It's back and it's allowed. Hello, Nona. And yes, hello, Polly. So yeah. So we're going to be talking today about Smutty Books. So as you can even see from Rachel's water bottle, or
basically
from her t-shirt,
it's my entire identity is Smutty Books. It's not even a joke. My t-shirt is a Smutty book. My Kindle is covered in Smutty Book stickers. My phone is covered in Smutty Book stickers, and my water bottle.
Do you have any
BigTaffMan
stickers on there?
Not unless you produce one where you've got no top on or something. Then it won't fit my theme.
So if release a sticker with me with no top on, will that go on the water bottle?
Yeah, it can go next to my one that says "That's a good girl," sexy woman. It could go there. One with you with your titties out.
Okay, we'll work on that. Booch, that is something that I know is going to be brought up later as well, so we'll add that to the list. That is something that I know Rach has talked about to me. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking about this. Where are you buying stickers? You can actually get BigTaffMan stickers just by subscribing. If you subscribe and send me a message with your address on, I'll send you some stickers out for free. And I'll usually as well chuck in a badge. I've got some badges here, look, little Ralph badges. But yeah, anyway, enough about that. We're here to talk to my wife, my guest today. So you haven't actually been into Smutty Books that long. When did you first get into them?
I feel like this is a proper interview.
It is a proper interview. This is professional. We're also today, we're not only tagged with the smutty content, we're in the talk shows and podcast category. This is a proper thing.
Okay, I'm not very good at this. Right, okay. So at the
start of the year, you just treat it as a conversation.
All right. At the start of the year, I decided I was going to read. I'm not very good at read. I get very easily distracted. So, like, if me and Taff/Chris watch a film or watch a TV show, I will read my phone, and it pisses him off no end. So when we watched Game of Thrones, for example, did I even know who half the characters were? And we watched it from start to end.
Game of Thrones is a bit of a show where characters come and go anyway, but yeah,
even the main ones. The only one I can really remember is Jaime Lannister, because he had a normal sounding name.
But there would also be bits where like you would just get totally confused by stuff, and I would be like, there's no, like, we've stopped watching a lot of TV shows together because you drove me crazy with, like, we started watching the first episode of Breaking Bad and you got sick of that. Even stuff like we used to watch Taskmaster together, and you've drifted off on Taskmaster.
Yeah, but I lost the vibe with it. I think I liked it early on. I think it was that's a them problem, not a me problem.
But in general, there's not much you watch TV wise at the moment. Anyway,
no, because I just got very easily distracted. Can't focus on stuff very long. I probably have some kind of ADHD thing. But so at the start of the year, I set myself a New Year's resolution, which I never do because they're stupid, that I was going to read one book every 2 months. So I would read 6 books in the year. And I went on whatever, Goodreads, I think.
We both bought a load of books at the start of the year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Because I remember that I went to Waterstones and picked up a pile as well.
I know, and I did the really terrible thing of just going and getting them from Amazon and not putting like independent bookstores. But anyway,
Waterstones isn't really an independent.
Well, no,
bookstore
it's not.
anyway.
But I want to talk about my dream that you think is stupid, and we'll see what chat thinks.
But I've got a question about the dream later. The dream is a stupider idea than Rach's superpower idea, which we're not going to talk about today.
If you know my superpower idea, please.
We've talked about your superpower before. We're not talking about it now.
Okay. Anyway, see how easy we digress. Anyway, so
start of the year.
I decided I was going to read a book every other month. So I bought 6 books off Amazon based on like recommendations of stuff I'd read years ago that I knew I liked. And I think the first book that I picked, I should have looked this up, shouldn't I? What was it called? It was a bloody...
It's not like you've had much time to remember about.
No, to prep for this. So anyway, I can't remember what it was. It was a Netflix show. Or it was on like Amazon, on like Prime Video or something. Anyway, it was made into one of those shows. And it was a hard read. It was quite psychological. Very minimal sex. That wasn't like the whole thing about it, because that wasn't my thing then. And it was just a hard read, and it literally took me up until the end of February to finish this book. It was like up to the wire that I was going to finish this book within my 2-month period that I'd allotted myself. Yeah. And then I read Verity by Colleen Hoover, which was like a book talk book, and it was like a whole thing on TikTok. And
so that was a big thing for you, wasn't it? Really, the book.
That was like a turning point for and that book was like a turning point because it was quite blowjob heavy, and I was just like, oh my god, this is soft porn. How is this public? This should be a banned book. But oh my god, it was literally, that was the book, that was the catalyst, and from there. I know. I've gone from blowjobs to like, now I'm like, a blowjob? That's PG. Like, why are there not like 12 dicks in her mouth or his mouth? Like, one dick. So, so now it's like, unless there's like multiple penises or vaginas or any holes generally, I'm not really that. It's kind of like, meh. So
that was
an obsession.
That was your first book. Did you say Verity? Verity
by Colleen Hoover. And the reason I read that book is, I don't know if anybody has read it in chat. Maybe they have, I don't know. I don't want to say anything because somebody might want to read it, but it's got like a really good storyline. It's a really good story.
I can read out the blurb on Amazon for it.
Yeah, but I mean, I was going to say it's got a twist. But it's not a twist.
You fucking ruined it now. You can't say it's got a twist. You don't say it's got a twist. Yes.
It's got a twist. Is it?
Because if you say something's got a twist, you spend the entire time you read it.
But you would anyway if you read that book. You would know when you're reading it, something's going to happen, and what you think is going to happen might not happen.
Well, here's the description of it. Lowen Ashley is a struggling writer on the brink of financial ruin when she accepts the job of a lifetime. Jeremy Crawford, husband of best-selling author Verity Crawford, has hired Lowen to complete the remaining books in a successful series his injured wife is unable to finish. Lowen arrives at the Crawford home, ready to sort through years of Verity's notes and outlines, hoping to find enough material to get her started. What Lowen doesn't expect to uncover in the chaotic office is an unfinished autobiography Verity never intended for anyone to read, page after page of bone-chilling admissions, including Verity's recollection of the night their family was forever altered. Lowen decides to keep the manuscript hidden from Jeremy, knowing its contents would devastate the already grieving father. But as Lowen's feelings for Jeremy begin to intensify, she recognizes all the ways she could benefit if he were to read his wife's words. After all, no matter how devoted Jeremy is to his injured wife, a truth this horrifying would make it impossible for him to continue loving her. That's
See,
the
you
description.
know
So
there's going to be something sinister go on
so
from the description.
Colleen
Really
Hoover is a name that I kind of recognize as well as
So
pretty mainstream. She's a it does
she
say as
wrote.
well.
Sorry, I interrupt. Go ahead.
It does say as well she's a #1 bestseller on the New York Times list as well.
She wrote It Ends With Us and It Starts With Us, which is being made into a film. I think it comes out in February, and Blake Lively's like the main character. So that's a big deal. So from that book, that one book, it just kind of opened my eyes to this whole, like, I've always watched, not always watched porn, but like I've always been like, we're quite open about talking about porn and stuff like that, and sex generally. It's not like a taboo thing for us to talk about. But to read these books, it was like, bloody hell, this is like my I can't keep up here. My brain is just like, what am I reading? And it just, yeah, opened my eyes, and it was literally a rabbit hole from that moment.
Did you find when you started reading these that, like, I've not read one of these books before. Now, when you say to me a smutty book, like, my first thought is things like the obviously the podcast of Belinda Blinked, where I'm immediately like, well, no, so, but what I mean is that I'm immediately like, right, every chapter is basically a fuck show. Like that's it. Is that what the books are to you?
So
or
no.
Are they storylines?
So no. So initially, that was what I really craved, was like just sex all the time, every chapter, they're boning all the time. They can't keep their hands.
When you're young, thing. When you start, and as you get a bit older.
No.
As you develop in your reading.
Yeah, exactly. So it started off like that, and that was like what I would like. I think I made a comment to Taff's mum. She's not in chat, is she? I mean, it doesn't matter if
she'll probably end up watching the VOD.
Watching this on,
like.
Yeah. So I made a comment to Taff's mum because I was recommending a bunch of books to her.
So just to be clear, Rach recommended a bunch of sex books to my mum.
I mean, she's a woman in her prime. Like, stop! Don't have some weird Madonna complex about your mother. Like, let her get some.
Look, a lot of other people's mums are in their primes, but not my mum.
I'm in my prime. I'm a mum in my prime. So I made a joke to her. I read a book once, and literally, unless there was a heavy sex scene within the first like 25% of the book, to me it was a slow burn, and it wasn't doing it for me. And then I started to read a book, and there was sex within the first like 5%, and I was like, oh my god, Deb, read this book. Sex straight away. I don't know what's happening. There's too many dicks. I can't keep up. Anyway, so that's how it started. When it started, and now I still love a good sex scene, obviously.
So
I love a smart book, but it's the types of books I've read now are so. The types of books I've read now, the type of storyline I enjoy has been a real eye opener to me, because I've started to enjoy a lot of like dubious consent books, which so I always describe it as being a little bit rapey, but that makes it sound really bad. But I know it's like going to be a really controversial topic for a lot of people, and I'm not.
This is me.
I'm not really outing myself.
Do I need to end this stream?
I know I'm not really outing myself on your stream that I want you to pretend rape me. I'm not saying that at all. Am I allowed to say that word? Are you going to get in trouble?
Well,
anyway, I won't say it again.
I mean, this is the thing. Are you talking about like consensual, non-consensual?
Well, this is that's what dubious consent is: consensual, non-consent. So it is like, I spoke with our I don't know if you've mentioned Lucinda on your stream before.
I've mentioned Lucinda before. So Lucinda's
our night nanny Lucinda is quite big in the kink community, and she does like kink education, and she's got like a really solid knowledge of pretty much everything kink, and it's been really interesting to have conversations with her about the things I read in smutty books.
Yeah, because I
the
think
whole thing about
you're quite a, like, there's a lot that you didn't know about that you've discovered through books, isn't
there were
it?
loads of things I didn't know.
Because I
Loads of,
remember
like,
us having a
social terms
conversation with Lucinda
about
where
cuckolding.
you learned about we had a
No,
whole.
I knew what cuckolding was, but it was
It was the bull.
What was the bull?
The bull.
I didn't. Yeah.
So the
So
bull.
then I was like, well, I'm going to find some books about cuckolding now.
So the
and I'm
bull
gonna
is
read
the
those.
man in a cuckolding situation who comes in to have sex with the partner. So yeah, it's like bringing a bull in to sleep with the with the cows. Rach was wondering why there is 2 chairs at the end of our bed. Very much not cuck chairs, Sheep Boy. Thank you very much.
Oh, is that what somebody asked?
No, so there's a running thing in that's starting an ad stream of when you go to when you look at someone's house on, say, like Property Guest, say if you look going on right and you see someone's bedroom and they've got a chair facing the bed, it's the cuck chair that they've got there. But then it turns into a whole thing. A lot of people say, I know Luce has made jokes about it before, where when you go to a travel lodge, there's a chair facing the bed. That's the cuck chair.
So, okay. Going back to consensual non-consent. It's not, I'm not outing myself by saying that that's something I want to experience. I think that was a real, like, interesting point of reading these books, that it introduced me to something that it's not something that I particularly crave. It's not something sexually that I want to happen. But to read someone else experience it, and which I totally appreciate, is completely glamorized because you're reading a book and it's, it's not real life. I get that. But it was a really interesting concept to me, something like that, because it's just not something that I'd ever, like, I'm not a part of the kink community, or it's not something that I ever would have been exposed to, like, to know about, had I not read those types of books. But now they become my favorite kind of book because they're so angsty. There's like all these psychological layers, and it's you've got characters that are not good and they're not bad. They're weird. What's the term that you said before? We've talked about
shades of grey.
Yeah, like we talked about characters in TV shows that you like. You don't hate them, but they're not a good person. They're just and that's what I really enjoy. It still adds that kind of psychological element, which is what the type of books that I started to read when I started to do this at the start of the year. Was like, I'm going to read books. Those were the books I was reading. So to read anything that's like that, where the character is really quite fucked up, a lot of them are kind of stalkery as well, and you think, well, but the person they've stalked ends up falling in love with them, and there's that Stockholm syndrome thing. It's just there's that whole psychological layer, which I find really interesting.
So do you?
But now it's got to a point that those books are quite mentally taxing for me. So I'll read. I have a list in my notes app of TBR to be read, and I alternate all my books. So I'll read something that's a heavy topic, that's dubcon or something like that. Then I'll read like a male book, which are my all-time favorites. Then I'll read something hetero. Well, and I try to alternate stuff, because otherwise it's like my brain is blown.
So with these books, then, do you are they kind of romantic books, or are they more?
Some of them are. So a book that I just finished earlier today was about a couple who are in their 30s. They had a kid. They were like high school sweethearts. They had a kid when they were 17. They'd got married. They've stayed together. Like, their life is really, like, they're happy with one another, and their life is, they're still very much in love with one another. But the guy starts to feel that he has missed out on something, because they did grown-up things when they were still really young, and he ends up having. But this is kind of, he ends up having an affair. I'm going to say it's an affair, even though it's kind of not portrayed as that in the book. But to me, it was an affair. He starts to sleep with another man, and he falls in love with this man. But the man happens to be the older guy's daughter's ex-boyfriend. It's a whole thing. But then his wife also falls in love with the man, and they end up becoming like a polyamorous. They have a polyamorous relationship. So it just, yeah. So that so that is like a proper love story. It was very angsty. There were moments that, between the three of them, the two men and the woman, they were like fully in love with one another, and it was romantic and it was nice. And there were obviously like proper sex scenes, but it just gave you warm and fuzzies because you want them to be together. You're rooting for them from the start, and they're kind of fighting against the odds.
Yes. Do you
like,
find...
I get very upset if I read a book and it doesn't have a happy ending. That's also one of my search things now. Is it has to have a happy ending, because I read one book once where it didn't, and I was emotionally. I think this was a while ago, Hannah, and I don't remember if you remember now, but I was like emotionally wrecked for about 3 days. Couldn't stop thinking about how it didn't end the way I wanted it to.
I also add the search term happy ending whenever I'm looking for a massage, so I understand.
Do.
So what was I going to ask then? Yeah, you were saying about that. So do you find that you've learned a lot? Because like we've talked before about like when we like started going to wrestling shows a lot, that's when we kind of met a lot of people of kind of different cultures and sexualities and things like that. So have you found that these smutty books are teaching you things as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just what double vaginal penetration is. I mean, that's an obvious, but anyway, not just some of these like kink terms that I didn't understand. And like I've said before, I appreciate that it's glamorized. I get that it's, you know, yeah, I get that.
Butch Daddy in chat has said, could you explain double vaginal penetration?
Am I allowed to?
Yeah, we've got the sexual themes.
Do you want me to do? Wait, what? Can I use anything as Can I use anything as a prop?
I don't think you should go in any bedside cabinets.
Go in my bedside
No,
drawer?
I don't think you should go in any bedside cabinets and get anything out. That may be a little bit too far.
BigTaffMan, BigTaffMan.
Hello, darling.
So I've learned loads. I'm quite an inquisitive person. You would say I'm nosy. I would disagree. I like to ask 20 questions. I like to learn about people. I like to understand things that I just like to know stuff.
So to be clear, though, when I say you're nosy, whenever we go to a restaurant, you have to sit facing out so you can see everything.
No, I just like to be aware of my surroundings. I've read so many mafia smutty books now. You always have to be aware of your surroundings. What if somebody comes in and they
read a lot? She has read a lot of mafia smutty books.
Nice. I've read them all. Yeah, I've learned loads. I just like to know stuff. I like to know stuff about other people. I like to understand the the different layers of people. I like to understand their kinks. I like to understand what it is about their kinks that they enjoy. So yeah, I've learnt loads.
So what kind of what kind of books do you find yourself drawn to? And when I say that, I kind of ask this question because this brought up one of my like all-time favorite comments I think you've ever made, which I don't remember the exact wording of it, so I'm going to say what I remember, and then you're going to tell me that's not what you said. But I remember once like you talking to like me telling you to get in touch with our friend Phoebe to talk about smut books, because I knew Phoebe liked reading kind of smutty novels as well. And I remember you coming back to me afterwards and saying Phoebe likes all shit with elves and stuff in.
I'm not a fan of fantasy smut. But loads of people are. It's a big deal, and I've contemplated loads of times because loads of people I follow on Instagram, have recommended a particular series, and I can't remember what it is now. Even the girl who did my tattoo was like, "You should read this particular series," and I'm like, "Oh, I've read some paranormal smutty books."
There does tend to be a lot that I see of like I mean, I think one of the famous things is that I tried to do my double check on this, but didn't Twilight start off as a fan fiction novel? Am I right in that? Someone in chat can correct me on that. But I think Twilight originally started out as a bit of a fan fiction thing and then went from there. Was it 50 Shades? 50 Shades, that's the one. I was thinking Twilight because the vampires. 50 Shades was a Twilight fan fiction. That's it.
I get why fantasy is such a big, like, why it's so big in like romance novels. It's just never been my vibe. I've tried. I've read paranormal smutty books. Just couldn't get on board. I'll give it another go.
Jesse in chat has asked, Rach, tell us which kind of monster you'd most like to have an erotic encounter with. And he says for himself, it would be the Wolfman. And I don't know if when he says the Wolfman, does he mean like the wolf man, like the man who's like half man, half wolf? Or does he mean the Wolfman from Gladiators?
I mean, okay, can we have some clarification?
Could Jesse clarify?
The wolf. So the guy with like the curly, the guy from like 90s Gladiators. Wolf.
No, he didn't. He didn't. No, he didn't actually mean wolf from Gladiators, Rach.
Oh.
He meant a werewolf. But Jesse has decided that yes, it's the guy from Gladiators now.
Okay. When I was in school, I went to school with a girl.
I knew you were going to tell. Go on then.
I went out to school with a girl whose mum dated him. Anyway, that was it.
Should never have touched on Wolf from Gladiators. I should have known Rach was going to bring up that story.
Shut up. What was Jesse's question again?
Jesse's question was, Rach, tell us which kind of monster you'd most like to have an erotic encounter with.
A book I've read not like a few months ago. Well, actually, no, I read it in October during my spooky book month when I was trying to read spooky books. Was Her Soul to Take and there's another one. I can't remember the first. That's either the first one or the second one. By Harley LaRue, who wrote one of my all-time favourite books called Losers. Literally, if there's a book on this earth that I wish I could read again for the first time, it would have been Losers by Harley LaRue. Losers and Losers Part 2 is just chef's kiss. It's just everything. I'm even listening to the audiobook now in the car because I'm hoping I'll just see it from... I'd like to read it again, but there's too many other books to read. There aren't enough hours in the day. But anyway, so she wrote this book, and the guy, the main male character is a demon, and he has a massive demon dick, like it's like super sized.
What's super sized?
And like his tongue is like forked as well.
But what's super sized?
Well, it's not specifically explained. It's just that it's just bigger than big.
Well, like 7 inches.
No. I mean, it's big to you.
8?
Yeah. I mean, you use your imagination, babe. That's the beauty of it, is you're creating that picture in your mind. If 7 inches is big to you, then 7 inches is what you go with. To me, I'm thinking like, I don't know, an arm. So anyway, his tongue is forked. So you think all sex? Yeah, it's just the whole. So a demon.
Has he got?
Although I'm not actually. I don't know. Hang on, sorry. I've just thought about this. Do I want to deep throat a demon dick? That might kill me.
Is it knotted? Has been asked in chat.
I mean, when it's flaccid, maybe it could be. and then it would reduce some. But then would that be painful? But then he's a demon. He's immortal. It doesn't matter.
Wait. What do you mean?
Knotted, like turn it, like knotted. What do you mean? Not do a knot in it. Something else. What do you mean? What does that mean? That's not come up in my book. Do you know what came up in one of my books the other day, and I had to Google it? Docking. I didn't know what that was.
You didn't know about docking?
I mean, I don't have a foreskin or a penis with a foreskin. So no, I didn't know about docking.
Let Rach read chat. I read the question exactly like it's been put, Kobe.
What's the version
also,
when you...
I'm trying to work out how to explain to my wife about a knot.
Hang on, I'll Google it.
Well,
I don't care.
no. So
wait, knotting.
A knot is thing
Penis.
I think that normally is in a dog's penis. I'm really worried that she's... Have you just gone on images?
I mean, should I?
So the knot is normally a part of the dog's penis that expands during sex.
Why are you on images? Oh my god, that's vile. That is vile. I'm just looking at animal penises now.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
So it's like, yeah. So it's like a knot. So it kind of like... I believe that it's like developed as a way for
when animals mate. I'm on Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, for the animals to like.
When animals mate, specifically canines, penis enlarges during climax and remains enlarged to the point where he's literally stuck in. Oh, so that's why if a dog. So that's why don't you have to like stick your finger in their bum or something to get a dog off if they've like. Is that not true? Yeah, because you can't disconnect them.
Yeah, but what did you say, Rach? Think about the words that you said.
You was great.
Wait there. Wait.
I know, am I going to get in trouble?
Wait, there's a sound alert going on that's very loud. Wait a second. I'm going to repeat. I'm going to repeat your words back to you. You said, don't you have to stick your finger up a dog's bum to get them off?
That's a thing. I thought that was a thing because they won't disconnect.
Yeah, but get them off. Get them off is a term.
Oh,
yeah. Okay.
All right.
I think I should put these on Rach. Like, I think I should move this over. Sorry, I was getting the horny redeem. Where I get the horns.
This happens to insurance.
So yeah,
I hadn't finished reading the description of it.
I believe from that it was partly a thing that developed as a way to help impregnating.
Okay.
But I'm not sure of that. I'm not a vet or yeah.
Okay. Anyway, I'm not sure now about a demon. I'd have to think further on my answer.
So you don't know what kind of monster?
Because I'm worried. Yeah, because I'm worried the demon would be too big to.
Okay. Well, it's just an erotic encounter. You just don't have to, you know.
Okay, I mean, if I'm not having to give a blowy, then a demon. Why not?
Okay.
She seemed to enjoy it in the book.
So we talked a little bit about triggers in books. Do you find that, like, are there any like measures in place with books that you read for like warnings of triggers, or do you have to do your own research first?
No, loads. Most authors are really, really good now at doing like a trigger warning at the start of a book, or like a warning that there are lots of triggers in this particular book, and to maybe go on their website for like a full list of triggers. I read a dark romance book recently where they were like, what happened? It was very dubcon. There was forced pregnancy. There were a lot of things that some people might find incredibly triggering, and like the author was like really good at the start of the book and was like, please, like imploring people almost not to read the book because I think I consider myself incredibly fortunate that I don't find really anything particularly triggering in the things that I read. In fact, on my Kindle, one of my stickers says I use trigger warnings as a checklist. So I find myself incredibly lucky. But yeah, that's a really big thing at the moment. Is that authors will be very thorough with a trigger checklist. I don't think I read a book now where somebody doesn't have that at the start. And also, I use a website to get all my like romance book recommendations.
And what's the website?
It's I have it permanently open on a browser.
Rach is one of those people as well. This is I can't understate how like impressive it is that Rach has a website permanently open, because Rach is one of those people who closes web browsers as soon as she used them. Like if I went on my phone now, I think I've got probably 300 tabs open on Safari. Rach never has a tab open. So for her to have
the only two things I ever keep open are it's romance.io is the website. I keep that open, and then I keep Amazon open because my Kindle is weird and it will only let me buy or borrow books on my Kindle Unlimited through the browser. It doesn't let me do it through the app. Those are the only two things I keep open all the time, and I use them.
That's the way the Kindle works, though.
Oh, okay. I thought that was a thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
I didn't want to tell you because you'd probably tell me that I was doing something wrong. But anyway, that's okay then. So yeah. So when I go on romance.io, I think I said it was. There's people can review books on there, and there's loads of triggers of what you can, loads of like things that you can list a book at, like that it contains this particular content. So yeah, and there's certain things now that that I'll go through, and you can filter your search by all these things. So all the really like dark things that I don't want to happen to me are the things I like to read. So that's what I will filter it by.
Pink in chat has said she usually gets her smut from either Phoebe or TikTok, but like we said earlier, TikTok was a big starter for you, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, I still see on your phone you'll very often be watching TikTok and then start screenshotting stuff because you've seen a book mentioned that you
all my screenshots are people's book recommendations.
2 secs.
There's
a raid. Hello, thank you, Scroobius Pip, for the raid.
No.
Don't,
Pip, don't. How many people are watching now? Oh, God.
There's about, I think there's about 80-ish.
Oh, okay. Well, hi, everyone. We're talking about Smutty Books.
We're talking about Smutty Books.
Get on board if you want to read about DAP or DAP. That's a new one for me.
DAP?
Yeah, so in all the books I've read, and I've got to say, I love a gay awakening or a bi awakening or just a male book. In my opinion, they're just, it's such a love story because it's usually against the odds. It's so romantic.
And when you say that, you were telling me it's usually male though. When you say like a bi awakening, isn't it? You don't. Do you read any kind of woman-on-woman content?
No, which is weird because that's my favorite type of porn. Like, but there were not that many like lesbian. Like, if anybody has any recommendations, I've got one on my TBR. If anybody knows any, send them my way because, yeah, like I say, it's my favorite type of porn, and yet there are not that many books about it. So, and I need it for the wank bag.
Well, that's weirdly like with Pip, like just raiding. That's the kind of stuff that I was coming on to. So, speaking of coming, so did you start reading these? Like, have these just been like a masturbatory tool, or are they? Do you use them like porn, or because like I don't think that's something we've ever talked about.
No. Yeah. Sometimes I do.
Like we've never been having sex and you've been like, let me just whack this book open.
Let me just get this chapter. Let me read this chapter to you alluringly while you pound into me.
Let's just go into doggy style so I can read the book while I
can read. I mean, to be fair,
we're not doing that. We're not.
No, but you've interrupted me several times while I've been mid-read. So, but yeah, I do. I it's interchangeable for me. I like to use my imagination. I don't always like to watch porn. So, and some of the stuff I read gets me really turned on. Like, but I think you'd be bloody. Sorry, I had a weird pop up. I think you would be. I don't know. Yeah, no, I was going to make a comment then. Actually, I'm not going to say it because I think it's not fair.
I think I can make the comment that I've always been more vanilla than you.
Yeah,
I don't think that's I'm all right with saying that to chat.
No, that's I'm like always up for like sticking a finger in. Like I'll just
I mean, to be fair, I had a bad ass for like 4 years.
No, I know. No, I know. That's why I
and in fact, the running joke between me and Rach during that time was that I would always say to Rach that it was her fault I had a bad ass. Because she stuck a finger up the arse once, and I was like, I reckon you tore something when you did that. I was always like, it's your fault. It was your nails that tore me.
This is literally going back like 17 years, Bubs. Like, I didn't cause your hemorrhoids, okay?
It was actually an anal tear. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because I put an entire fist in when you weren't looking. What was I going to say? You've totally thrown me then.
There's going to be a lot of people who've never watched my stream before who are going to be very
why are we talking about Taff's ass? This is not, I was going to say this is not usual. It's not anymore. It probably was at one point. I'm sure that you talked about because you're very open about your health issues, because they were really, anyway, we digress.
But part of the reason I was very open about that was because the people said to me that being open about it helped them, and there were people that did it, and that's why I like, I think, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, some of the stuff that we're talking about tonight makes me feel a bit awkward, makes me think like, oh, are people gonna be like thinking any different of me because of the conversation that we're having, or the fact that my wife says she likes books that are a bit consensual, non-consensual, but I think this is something that we can just talk about. We've got the sexual content line on the stream. I'm okay with talking about this, and if anyone thinks any different of us because of this, they can fuck off. I don't give a shit.
I can do one.
Yeah.
I've forgotten what your question was now. We talked about your bumhole, and then I got.
No, it was about.
All I could think about.
It was about
Did I use it as a masturbation?
A berry came up in the straw. Then I've got water with berries in. I was asking, was it Sorry, David's put no judgment on fantasies, but that's because he's got a big thing for the alien from Aliens. So he often.
You have a big thing for. You tell me you're vanilla. You have a big thing for the female gremlin, don't you?
That did come up in in conversation with David about the thing earlier. So yeah,
there's never no judgment. Everybody's got their thing.
The sexy gremlin though, she's up for it. And Nala the lion as well. To be fair though, it's the specific Nala scene.
the bit where she's getting when she's on her back with bloody Simba on top of her.
She does the eyes.
Sexy eyes, yeah.
The amount of times that Jack was watching that film for a while, where every time we'd be like...
Yeah, but that's why he doesn't want to watch it anymore, because he's like, oh, Daddy's going to pause it on Nala for minutes and disappear out of the room. Anyway, I think... What were we talking about? You being vanilla, but that wasn't the point. That wasn't what we were talking about.
But I was saying that I was more vanilla than you.
Yeah, I think, but I think that it has, reading this type of book as well, I think has been super empowering for me. Like, I've started to do pole dancing this year, and which I kind of feel in a way didn't influence I didn't read like a series of pole dancing books. Or stripper books. It didn't influence that decision, but I think it was just a whole like empowerment thing for me, that all of a sudden I was like, God, I'm like really sexy. I'm going to swing around a pole and, I'm not going to take my clothes off. But it just gave me that massive confidence boost. to just feel more, I guess, to feel more sexual, and because, you know, why not? I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Well, luckily it doesn't usually last a long time.
Fine. It's fine. Right now. I manage my expectations.
Just looking over my books, over my questions that I've asked. To be fair, when I say it doesn't last a long time, it's Rach that doesn't last a long time.
It's
Rach that doesn't last a long time.
Quality over quantity.
She's 2 minutes and she's done. She's pillow princess.
I am a pillow princess.
Very much.
100%. I'm not ashamed of that. Sex is hard work. Like, even masturbating is hard
for
work.
one of us, it's hard work.
Yeah.
So what I was going to ask next.
Hang on a second. When you're getting pounded into, that's, you know, when you're taking it, that's hard as well. Be fair. Come on. And making noises all the time. It's effort.
What is it about? What is it about Smut Books?
Are you okay? Are you about to ask a funny question, or are you having a moment?
So obviously you talked a little bit about, and Willow did ask earlier. Willow said you set out to read 6 books over the year. How many have you actually read? So do you want to? I know Rach has. Rach's Insta's private, so nobody go and follow Rach because she'll just not allow you to follow.
I'll just
her
leave
anyway.
it. Well, I'll just leave it to sit in my
But you did post a big thing on your Insta about how many books.
So I bought my Kindle in April. So prior to that, I obviously read the one book January, February, and then I think I read all of Colleen Hoover's books. After I read Verity, I went down a Colleen Hoover rabbit hole and bought all of them. I don't know how many there were, maybe 10 something. So since April, I have read 263 books. So I am on a roll. 250 was my goal for the year. Now I've set it to 300. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to read the remainder before the end of this. I've got half the month to go. It's probably not going to happen unless I read a ton of novellas, but that's cheating. So you could start counting the books that you read to Jack before he goes to bed, and now I'm not confused. What did we read tonight? Oh, that stupid Mog's Christmas. Such a shit book. Anyway, there's no smut in it, and she's fully clothed all the time. For those who, it's not Mog, it's Meg. Whatever. It's the witch Meg. Rach isn't a fan. So yeah, to say I'm addicted, it honestly is my whole identity. I'm not even gonna lie. I'll sit and read. I'm so good at now at just sitting and reading when Jack is watching Peppa Pig. I can tune everything out just to just read a book, and I could never do that before. I'd have to sit in silence to read because I couldn't concentrate. But the content is so engaging to me that I'm and I'll be like, Jack will come and fuss by me. I'm like, look, Mummy's just reading an anal sex scene, and I need to, or an orgy, and I need to focus because I need to. Don't say that in front of Jack, do you? Because he swears enough because of you. Yeah, I don't want him going into nursery saying, Mummy's had an orgy. Mummy's had an orgy. Right, but I want my child to be sexually empowered. He needs to understand everything. Rach, he's 2. He's 2 and he's going to nursery, and he's already walking around going fuck because of you. Fuck it. That's what he said in Marks and Spencer's the other day. He said... I put something in the trolley, and I was like, do we need to buy this, Jack? And I was like, do you know what? Fuck it. And then he's like, fuck it. I was like, oh, mate, we're Marks and Spencer's. Settle down. Anyway, yeah. But I'm I need to focus to keep a track of where everything is. Sometimes I'm I need to draw a diagram or something. There's too many people. There's too many dicks and not enough holes. Where's it all going? Anyway. So you I mean, I can confirm you pretty much you have the Kindle app on your phone as well, and pretty much if we're going somewhere, you'll be reading on the journey there. Sometimes you'll be reading while we're stood in a queue and we're waiting for something. So yeah, it's definitely become something that you were being super at the start of the year, we had a conversation at the end of last year that I think I was in like a real funk. Your streaming was doing really well. Streaming took up a lot of your time, and it takes up a lot of your like energy, and there's a lot of prep work that goes into the streams that you do. And that was like your big focus. And I just didn't really have anything, did I? Like I was just a mum, and that's shit. Like I love Jack to pieces, but that was never. I never wanted that to just be my identity. So reading books, like, just was, I guess, the catalyst for my own growth, I suppose. To go, you know, I mean, I'm never going to go back to being the person I was before I had a child, because you've got a human now that you're responsible for. And that will always be a priority over everything. But it was just a whole point of trying to find myself again, I guess. So like the smut aside, just the reading is something that I do for me. And then that made me want to do pole. I think I read a bunch of like cowboy smutty books, and that made me want to start and ride a horse. And now I love horse riding. Like it started everything off that I've done in like the last 6 months. It's like, you know, and I've got a ton of hobbies. Now you complain that I'm not at home enough because I'm like always out doing things.
What it was is, I think for like quite a while I always had streaming as something I was doing, and I kept saying to you all the time like, oh, you know, you need to find something for you, and I was always trying to encourage you to do stuff and get out there and do it, and it's been really nice to like see that you've like started to kind of do more. Like, yeah,
I don't want to sound dramatic in saying that I think books saved my life, because that does sound kind of dramatic, but I think that they've been,
I think they gave you more direction.
It's made me myself again, the person that I was before we had a baby, before lockdown happened. Like, especially being in the privileged situation that we're in, that we don't work, you don't have, like you said, direction. You don't have direction, and I think it gave me a weird kind of purpose. I don't know. It became a flex in my own head as well, to be like, I've read these many books. I've read this book. Nobody cares. Like, no one cares that I've read 263 books, and that's fine. But for me, I'm like, fucking hell. I didn't think I was going to read 6 books this year, and now I've read 263 plus. Like, that's fucking mental. So, anyway,
but
it's a flex.
I think I didn't write down who asked this question earlier, but someone asked earlier, is there a particular author that is like the George R.R. Martin of the smut world? I know you mentioned Colleen Hoover a bit, as she's the one.
I mean, it really depends on your vibe. If you like small town romance, which is kind of slow burn, then there's like Devney Perry, who did like the Eden series. There's Lucy Score. Lucy Score has written loads of small town books that are, some of them are kind of smutty, but they are quite slow burny.
What's her name? Sorry.
If you want Lucy Score. If you want like a full on dubcon, like dark romance, and Chantal Tessier, who wrote The Ritual, the Lord series. This is one of my favourite books.
I'm basically writing.
Just depends.
God, the like, Chantal Tessier books, they are very much like. As soon as I've searched for the covers, I'm like, oh God, that's very much what I think of when I think of erotic fiction.
Honestly, her books are beautiful. Like, they are so fucking, like, they are just everything. But they're dark, but they're good. But it just depends. It depends. Like, what male? There's an author that does male. Oh, fuck. There's an author that's written male books, and she's brilliant. Oh, what is her name? Can't remember. They're just, like I've remembered. Wait a sec. I have to talk about it because it's one of my 5-star books, which doesn't come around very often. I follow her on Instagram. Hang on. I don't know why her name has gone out of my head. Wait.
It's not one of the
I think
ones
it's
from your top 5 books, is it? Nordica Night?
Yeah, it was one of from my top. Yes, her. She wrote a book called Knock Knock, which is part of a series. The first one is Gowan Park, the second one is Lot 62, and the third one is Knock Knock. I don't want to. They're all male. They're all centered around like 2 sets of brothers, but that book is just, the 2 guys are just like golden retrievers. They're just like everything about them. Their naivety.
Have
They're
they
basically like
got
me.
knots?
Huh?
Have they got knots?
No, so listen, there's a really funny bit in it that literally made me laugh out loud, and that rarely happens in books because I read a lot of dark stuff, so you don't really laugh it. And if you're laughing, then you read it wrong.
Didn't laugh out loud at my joke either.
Did? No. Well, you're not very funny. The Jack said the other day that I was funnier than you.
Jack is a fucking knob.
I know. I was gonna... So there's a scene in this book where they're 2 guys and they've only been in hetero relationships. They don't even consider themselves bi. Their sexuality is fluid, and that's like that again. That's something that you get more in books that are written now, as opposed to, I don't know, a few years ago. I guess I see a difference in books where they're like, oh, I like a man and a woman, so I'm bisexual. But now it's the whole spectrum of sexualities is addressed, which never used to be in, from, like I say, from books I've read like that came out 3, 4, 5 years ago. But there's a scene where they are talking about, oh God, what is it called? Is it like cock warming or something? Is that the thing? Where basically, I might have to, honestly, I don't want to Google it again.
Cock warming?
What is it called? What is the term?
What are they doing?
I'll explain to you what it's meant to be, and then I'll explain to you what they thought it was. And that's why I related with these characters.
So cock warming.
Is it when you put a dick in, like in it, just when it's soft?
It's a more intimate version of spooning.
Yeah. So you just stick your flaccid dick in a vagina, or just keep it in there.
Well, it does say this is slipping his erection into his partner's vagina or ass in order to keep warm.
Keep it there. Just keep it there because it feels nice. So they're the 2 characters in the book are going through a list of kinks, of gay kinks, to discover things that they might like because they've never been with another man before, and that's one of the things. But the whole point of the book is that they live on a trailer park, so they don't really have access to the internet, and they don't know what cock warming is.
Where have they found the list of
the other brother printed a list off the internet for them, but they don't have like a smartphone. So the whole point is that they're poor. Anyway, they don't know what cock warming is, so they just guess. So the one guy gets like a flannel and he heats it up in the microwave and he wraps it around the other guy's cock, and he's like, your cock's just in a nice little blanket keeping it warm. And then the other guy's like, I mean, I don't think this is right, but it feels kind of nice. And yeah, I was just like, that's just me. You describe something and I don't know what it is, and I just make it up in my mind. I'm like, that's what it is.
My biscuit says that like a hot towel on a plane.
Yes, exactly. Because there was a moment where it was too hot. They had to let it cool for a second. Because when they bring you the hot towel,
I think Jesse said he's going to try that tonight. I think all the fellas tonight are going to be popping a little flannel in the microwave.
Because they said it was nice. They said it felt nice.
I think I might just use
it then led
water.
to a blowjob, and then I guess it was that sensation of hot and slightly less hot. I don't know. But yeah, report back, guys. If you've got a penis in chat.
Mary, have you noticed Adam like looking towards the bathroom right now? Is that is that what's happening? No. So how often do you find that you're having to go to the Google for a term that you've read in a book?
Usually only if I read a male book. I feel there's a lot of things about penises that I don't understand. Plotting, that was the other thing I was trying to think of before. We talked about, what did we talk about? What was the one we talked about?
Docking.
Yeah. Fotting is when the other person doesn't have a foreskin, is that right? Only one person does? I think that's right. Might be wrong. I don't have a penis, so I'm not a aficionado. But yeah. Anything to do with the penises?
Yeah, I thought
think
frotting
that-
was just like.
Tell me what it is, chat. Because I don't want to have to Google it again. Because whoever's watching my internet searches is going to think I'm fucking psycho.
I thought it was kind of the two dicks rubbing up against each other. Is that not what that is? I might be completely wrong.
No.
Frotting is rubbing up against each other, says Booch,
Okay.
and Cody's agreed.
What's the docking version of when you don't have a foreskin or only one person? There's another term for that as well, which I had to Google. But yeah.
I don't know if you can do docking without. Do we need to explain docking for chat as well? Docking is the act of one man pulls his foreskin back and holds it,
Let me search docking
while the
penis.
other man pushes his penis under the other guy's foreskin.
Sam and Gaz enjoyed docking immensely because of Sam's stretchy foreskin. A stretchy foreskin? That sounds not pleasant, doesn't it?
I mean,
Okay.
the Urban Dictionary line I've pulled up for docking now says, Keanu and Harry were both so overwhelmed by the intensely intimate feeling of docking their penises inside of each other's foreskins that they instinctively began to kiss each other deeply as Keanu worked their cocks together as one. Both exploded in huge lows, seeing their foreskin swell like a water balloon trying to hold all of their hot man juices. As he released their cockheads from one another, he grabbed Harry's firm ass and ground his big, hard, cum-dripping cock into Harry's bright, bushy ginger pubes as he buried his nose into his sweaty pit, deeply sniffing Harry's sexy scent.
No.
Is that the kind of thing that you read?
Yeah, so no, I was just about to say I finished a book a few days ago.
I don't know what that is the I just want to be clear, that is the top result for docking on Urban Dictionary. It's got that full paragraph.
A few days ago. I'd be interested in like a male perspective on this, because quite a few books that I've read that are male guys really love the smell of other guys, like pubes or like taint or just any intimate part. Like they seem to love that it was always a musky smell. They seem to love it. Is that a guy thing? Because I can't say I've ever like got a whiff of your pubes and been like, wow, that's the most erotic scent I've ever smelt. But they just seem to fucking love it. Is that a guy thing? Does anybody? Do you have anyone in chat that has an opinion on that?
I've been using Head and Shoulders down there now.
Well, I did notice there's no dandruff, so it's clearly working.
Well, I haven't been getting any shoulders, and I haven't been getting any head either. So
not enough hours in the day. I can't read my smutty books and blow you.
Yeah, see, exactly.
Priorities. Yeah. Forgot what I was saying. Got distracted. Yeah. Oh god, the book I read the other day, the guy, after they had anal sex without a condom, I've read a few where the guys love to like slurp it back out their bumhole. Is that a thing guys like? Is that a thing women like? Me? I didn't know it was a thing generally.
They had anal sex.
Anal sex as well. So it's two. I mean, the books I've read, it's two guys. But anyway, they have anal sex, and the guy comes in the. They don't use a condom or contraceptive. The guy.
Oh, I thought you said they used a condom. Oh, yeah.
No. And then they slurp it back out, and it's always slurping.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, I know it's a thing. I just didn't know it was a thing. I know it's a thing now. But I was like, God.
Luckily, Les, there's been a change in rules, and we've got the sexual content tag on. So.
Are we getting told off?
We're strictly talking about Les Dennis, but not the real Les Dennis, I have to say. Streamers have gone downhill radically.
Party pooper Les Dennis, fake Les Dennis.
Thank you, Moroccan Taxi. I take that as a great compliment. Yeah, that's a bit of felching.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
That's not a nice,
the act
is
of
it?
as Domella's
Felching?
as very nicely put it here. Felching is the eating. The cream pie is pushing it back out.
That fascinates me. Like it's not something that I think I would enjoy. I don't know. Try
But
everything once.
I think a lot of
But-
things kind of get dictated to by porn. I think like I was reading something once about like, you know, the way that a lot of men treat cunnilingus is due to the way that they have watched porn where the
Seen it
bloke
on
is always
porn.
attacking
Yeah.
her like it's a fucking
This is why I honestly,
it's their last meal.
yeah, it seems to, yeah. This is why I think a lot of men, I'm kind of generalizing, I guess, but would benefit from reading a smutty book because you would probably they're usually, I mean, I only read books that are written by women. Even the male books I read, I don't read books written by men because I don't like men. And
Just to be clear there, when you say you don't like men, do you mean you don't like male authors, or do you mean you don't like men in the pink ribbons way where it just doesn't like men?
men just annoy me. They're just knobs. They're just fucking every day someone tells me something that a man has done and it just enrages me. Every day. I don't like men. You're the exception. I always say this.
No. You can't say that.
No. Let me finish. I always say you're an exception to me because you are the, if anything ever happened to you, you are the last of your species that I would tolerate. I wouldn't go off and like marry another man. You are the limit for me. Nobody else. And that's not, don't take that as a great compliment. I don't mean it that you're the best. I just mean it that like you fucking men are just the
kind of
fucking
implied
worst.
that I was the best.
The bar is incredibly low.
It's kind of implied, like the best of the
The best of the worst. Yeah. Just don't like men. So I don't read male authors because I'm not interested on a male perspective, even when it comes to anal sex. I don't care what fucking men think. So, forgotten why I was saying that. There was a point that I was making, but only, yeah.
It's all right. I think in general most people would agree with you on that anyway. I know Super D. This is an easy one for you to ask. Fucking sorry, I've just been pied. Not in that way.
Hello.
I'll just push that out. Right. Super D asked, which I think.
Oh my god, I was going to do a slurping noise then. I'm not going to.
It's okay because it's okay because Kudder's my little suckle boy.
Wow. What do I miss when I'm not? Maybe I shouldn't be reading my smutty books. Maybe I should get in your
Maybe
stream
you
more.
should be watching my
Little
streams.
suckle boy.
So shit. No, it's not. You work very hard. You do work very hard. Your streams are very good. I can hear them. You're directly below me.
You're a big hit with B. Dolan's wife as well, apparently.
Oh, hi, B. Dolan's wife.
You scored 2 goals, Ad. I had a premonition. I could see 2 goals in your future. Super D says, I suppose the male authors would also describe the physical sensations differently too, so it's probably more relatable from a female voice.
Yeah, but also 100%, I definitely agree with that. But even the male books that I read, you know, I don't have a penis. I don't know what it feels like to have a penis. But they are, all the books I read that I enjoy the most are written by female authors. And they're like the most erotic. Maybe I enjoy it because I'm not a man. I don't know. I never really thought about that. Maybe if I was a gay person, I would, or someone with a penis who experiences those sensations, I would read it differently. I don't know. As a woman, I'm all for it.
Super D also asked, which I think is an easy one for you to answer because I think we touched on it a little bit. Is there a little app or something that you use to keep track of what you've read?
Just on I have a Goodreads account and it's linked to Kindle, but just on my Kindle account, I'm such a. I've never really been into like stats and stuff. That's been like your jam, isn't it, hun? You like a good statistic, and you like to.
I'm a spreadsheet boy.
Yeah, you do like a spreadsheet, but like I like my reading insights. I don't think you can read that because my camera's shit. But like, and it has all the books I've read. So I like to go back through that sometimes because some books are shit and I don't really remember them. And then other books, I'm like, fuck, that was amazing. Like, yeah.
So that brings
I like
me
to
on
go back and have a little walk down memory lane sometime.
Sheep Boy asked, do you ever go back to a book and reread it?
There were a couple of books that came out in the last few months that were like, it was a part of a series. And like, if I read like one in a series, I have to read them all, which is annoying. It annoys me that I do that because sometimes I'll get through and I'll get to like the third book and I'm like, oh God, this is so shit. But like, I have to see it through. Very, very few of them end on cliffhangers. So it's not even like I could just stop reading it, but I just, in my brain is like, no, you can't do that. So, what was the question?
Do you ever go back and reread a book?
Oh yeah, and go and read. But because so these books came out, and I'd said to myself at the time I was going to reread the previous books in the series, so that when the book came out, it was all fresh in my mind.
Am I right in thinking you did that? Was that the one that you did, and then you realised that the book didn't come out on the day that you thought it did, or was that a different thing?
No, that's a different book.
You rushed through a bunch of books because there was a book coming out.
Yes, I did do that. But so I rushed through. Because I like to alternate my content. So I like to read a dark romance. I like to read a slow burn. Then I like to read a male. I like just to, keep things interesting. So I'd collated my list of to be read to compensate a book that was coming out at the end of November. And I'm like, literally, I think it was like the 30th of November. And I go on my Kindle and I refresh it. And I'm like, oh, it's not there. And I'm sure I pre-ordered it. So I go on Kindle. I'm like, it's not even listed on. I go on Amazon. It's not even listed on Amazon now. What, have I just imagined it? And anyway, I found the author on Instagram, and she'd had loads of mental health problems, so she'd pushed back the release date. So I spent a moment being like, this is an outrage. I want to read the second in this book. And then I was like, oh shit, okay. Actually, no, shut up, Rachel. Like, it must be incredibly fucking hard and pressured to write a book, especially then when you're doing like multiples in a series and you've set a bar and that's what you've got to fulfill. So I was like, yeah, just tone it down, Rachel, it's fine. So yeah, I just don't have the time to go back and reread stuff. There's so many books I'd love to go and read again, or books that, like I said, I wish I could read for the first time because they blew my mind and they opened my eyes to stuff that I didn't know existed.
Polly asked, is there a difference in enjoyment between listening to an audio smut book and reading it yourself? I would imagine the voice actor might try being too sexy. Have you had many erotic audiobooks? I know you were on Audible for a while.
Yeah, I'm listening to Losers again at the moment. Because I wanted to reread it that badly and I just don't have the time. So I listen to it. If I do any car journey that's longer than 20 minutes, I put my audiobook on. But yeah, audiobooks are weird. There's been a couple of audiobooks I've had to stop listening to just because I didn't, the voice actor's voice, is not how I imagine them sounding in my head. Does that make sense? So
yeah, but you've said that as well about
ruined.
You said that about the one that you said I think earlier about the one of the books you were reading was being made into a film, and you were like, oh, I hate that this person's being cast. But that's generally a thing, isn't it? That you've got the idea in your head.
Or so yeah, there was a book where one of the female characters was supposed to be sort of in her early 20s, but the voice actor sounded like she was like 45, and I just couldn't get over it. It was messing with the image I created in my mind, so I just had to stop listening to it because I was like, this is just fucking with me. But I kind of like when they get really sexy in an audiobook. Turn the volume up when I'm at traffic lights. I'm like, oh, people are gonna listen to me listening to them so much. No, I don't mind it. It doesn't embarrass me. Like, it doesn't. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, "What if somebody read over your shoulder while you were reading like something really smutty?" And I'm like, "Let them read over my
I
shoulder."
think literally like when
I
we went
can't.
to see Hamilton the other day, you would like when we sat down, you pretty much opened your Kindle straight away, and yeah,
Well,
I don't
we were
think
sat waiting for the show to start, and I'm like, I could sit here and just scroll through Instagram or whatever, but I'm like,
talk to your partner who sat next to you.
I mean, I could even communicate with the love of my life, but is he?
He
No,
was
I'm not
at
going to
home
say that.
being babysat though.
But yeah, all the time. I'm not. Very little embarrasses me now. I talk about sex all day long. I think it's.
Josh asked, would you consider a blog or something about the books you've read and recommendations, etc.?
I just don't know if anybody would really be that interested. There's some really fantastic people that I follow on Instagram that review books, and like they are hilarious, and they are, I don't know, and they're very like articulate and succinct, and they know what they're saying, and their reviews are really good, and that makes me want to read a book. And I just don't think I've got their skills. There's plenty of great people out there. If anyone wants recommendations of people who give recommendations, then I'm your gal.
I think stuff like that is often very hard because it's like when you're thinking about, it's like we really like going to like nice restaurants, and it's hard sometimes to describe like what we enjoy about going to a nice restaurant, because the thing that people will focus on is like how much they cost to go there.
Yeah.
And then to try and put that into the stuff that you've got on the table in front of you, and how, you know, picking that spoon up and stuff is always hard. And I think that's very much a skill.
I think that's a very valid comparison, because I think I can talk about how I enjoy a male book, but then I don't want people to think that I just enjoy it because I'm like, what's the word? Like, I guess like appropriating gay culture. I don't know. Would that be considered that? I don't. Do you know what I mean? It's not because of that. It's genuine. I genuinely find them to be the most romantic, because there's usually an element of like a forbidden love, especially if it's like a bi awakening or a gay awakening book, and it's that kind of conquering, you know, against the odds, and it's that kind of thing that just makes my heart full. And I don't find that as much when I read like a hetero book. Maybe it's because I don't like men. No, but
there's two men in there's two men in the gay books.
No, but they're not the same. It's not the same.
You've doubled the amount of men.
No, I know, but I think it is hetero men I don't like. But that's my point entirely, is that I can't articulate what it is I like about male books so much, but then on the flip side, I'm saying how much I hate men. You've made the point, it doesn't make sense, but in my brain it does. I just can't tell you how.
I mean, I'm Les is in chat making some of his Les jokes as we expected. He's just popped in there. Taff sat there saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have to kiss Les for Rach's birthday, ain't I?" I mean, I think with me, like, I've always been quite open there. Like, I'm straight. I've never been attracted to a man before. But I'm quite open to say, like, I feel comfortable enough to say that if there had been, like, I think that if I'd grown up somewhere else and there'd been different circumstances, I think I would have been more open to trying stuff. As it is, like, all the people I've been attracted to growing up and stuff have been females, and I just don't think that, like, I think in a different world, I have no bones about, like, being against it. I've kissed enough guys. Like, there was one of my favorite stories was the day after my birthday party when I was getting messages from someone about the guy I kissed, and I was like, oh yeah, I kissed so and so, and they were like, no, not him. And I was like, oh yeah, I did kiss so and so as well. And then they were like, no, not him either. And I was like, wait, how many guys did I kiss at my birthday party? Like, what was I doing? But yeah, like I mean, like
one of the books I read fairly recently, and can chat please confirm that I've got this correct, because I'm not 100% au fait with different like sexual orientations. Is it demisexual when you are sexually attracted to somebody that you have like a connection with?
Demi is the emotional connection.
Yeah. So one of the books I read, it was a guy, and he fell in love with another guy, but he didn't consider himself gay or bi. He considered himself demisexual because he just had that. He wasn't attracted to other men. He just had the two guys had this really strong emotional connection, and that created the love and the romance and the sex and all of that. It wasn't that he felt that his sexual orientation, that his sexuality had changed, and one day he woke up and he was like, oh, I'm a gay man now. And even like exploring that, I think, God, if you were a young person, excuse me, if you were a young person reading that book, like that would be, and like you've just said there, if you didn't grow up in a tiny village, you may have been more open to experiment. If you'd have read that kind of book when you were 17, you might have been like, actually, yeah, I can go out there and I don't just have to be gay. I don't just have to be bi.
Yeah.
Like it's, I love that. And I know that that's such a massive thing now. And there's so much more awareness about different sexualities, and that it's never just X, Y, and Z. But the fact that there are so many books out there that explore that, it's because, I guess being in a hetero relationship, you kind of, I guess we're just not, it's not as exposed to stuff, I guess. I don't know. But I mean,
we've talked about, like, we've said as a couple, like, it's important to us to make sure, like, the Jack is aware of these kind of things.
Oh, so important.
That, like, we've gone out of our way to, we've been to an LGBTQ plus bookshop to buy like books that we can read in now that kind of like introduce some of these things. And like the one I always highlight is the Love is Love book that is just
I was just looking at that book on the side, actually.
So it's a book where it's a book for a 1 to 2 year old.
It's a toddler, it's a toddler's book.
It's literally like, as you read the book, like the animals are together, and you can see that some of the animals are two male animals, some are two female animals, but there's also families in there. There's also groups in there. There's straight couples in there. But it's kind of introducing that as an early age that. You don't have to worry about that. Like Booch has said in chat, Hey Dougie has gay characters that are totally not a big deal. I always love the fact that on Hey Dougie, which is like for anyone who doesn't know, Hey Dougie is a kid show,
isn't it? Did you have gay characters? What, Hey Dougie?
Hey Dougie. No, that's not old school. Hey Dougie. We literally we went to Jack
Hey
to the.
Dougie. It's just called Dougie.
It's called Hey
Dougie.
What am I
thinking? Who are the gay characters in Hey Dougie?
The crabs. But even like Dougie brings in the idea of like adoption, but doesn't smack it.
Oh, like, yeah, because Happy the crocodile, his parents are not crocodiles.
But so bringing those things in and not making them just normal. It doesn't need to be like something that's talked about. Point. And like we've talked a lot about how Bluey is like such a great show for like so many things to do with like parental things as well.
I think this is why I know you say that I shouldn't talk to Jack about orgies. I
mean, I think there's a difference between what we were just talking about and then saying,
my
telling
point
Jack,
is,
move over, I'm talking about an
let
anal
me
orgy.
tell you, let's talk about a reverse harem. Right, so this is, no. So, which is another type of book I love. Oh my God, one woman and like, well, see, 20 dicks, but anyway, she's worshipped and that's all that matters. But yeah, so my point, you know, like you said, that it's so important to us that we talk to Jack about sexualities and giving him such a well-rounded view of the world. And I think that's why I'm so happy and open to talk about sex like I am, because I don't want there to be anything that's a taboo topic.
Yeah.
Like when I grew up, I never spoke to my parents about sex. I wouldn't speak to my parents about sex now. It was embarrassing enough to tell them I was pregnant. Oh my God, they're going to know I've had sex once. Like, but that's not the relationship like we want to have with our kid. Like we just want to talk about sex and swear in front of him.
I think it's that thing of like we've said
word.
about when we had the conversation about swearing, like we're not bothered about swearing as a thing.
And also I cannot physically not swear. it's an actual, like, it's a problem. I cannot, a day cannot go by, a fucking minute can't go by when I don't swear. I've got a problem. So I don't care though, I like to swear.
So do you find, like, really with that kind of stuff, that the smut books have kind of helped, like, to grow your knowledge of these different areas of sexuality?
Yeah. Massively so. Yeah, like I say, anything that's kind of written probably within like the last year, yeah, it's been really fascinating that, and just the different types of love out there. Like I say, it just gives me the warm and fuzzies. I love it.
So I don't know if chat have got any more questions that you wanted to ask about this. I don't want to keep Rach too long on this, and I think we'll skip over. We were gonna do a bit of talk about my love for zoos, which is I think. Sorry.
I was just gonna say I've got loads of questions, so I wrote.
No, so what I was gonna say is that we can talk about that another time. I'll get you back on. So we can
swap places? You sit on the bed with the shitty camera and I'll sit downstairs.
But then you'll have to have control of, like, all the buttons that I've been pressing through this and all the research that I've been doing.
When I get Jack on it, because Jack knows what that panel does.
No, because all he'll do is he'll do can I get this open in time? He'll just start putting his own he has his own profile for the Stream Deck, and all it is a load of buttons that do this.
Does it not work?
It's working, you're just not hearing it.
Oh, is it going rah, rah? Is it that one?
Yeah, and
what was that one?
Ribbit, meow. And then the dog went, which he did it wrong first. So I was going to say, if there's any more questions from chat, I can see 1030s per one in Super D. We forgot to talk about that. I'm going to mention that because we were going to. I know Rach's answer on this. I was going to just while I'm waiting for anything to come in from chat. We did get a list of your top 5 books in no particular order. So what I'm going to try and do after this stream as well is I'm going to try and collate a lot of the info. Are you reading your Smut Books now?
No, I was using my phone.
Did you just start reading your phone in the middle of us doing...
No. Yeah, no, I didn't read my Smut Book because I'm at the start of a chapter, so I wouldn't do that. I was just, I went on...
You're on a podcast thingy, talk show, whatever the word.
You were talking to me at that moment.
So we got... This
is what I was saying, I've got no attention span.
I've kind of
Which is a good
collated a lot of links to things that you talked about here, so I'll try and gather this all together and drop some links into the Discord for anyone who's looking for any particular things. Rach is in the Discord, but she never reads it. So if anyone's ever got any questions about Smutty Books and wants to ask anything or wants to ask for recommendations, feel free to put them in the Discord, and I'll give Rach a nudge on it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ask Taff to ask me, because I meant to say to you, Hun, I've got loads of notifications that I've got messages, but I don't think I have.
You have.
So I don't understand it. I don't understand Discord.
You've got the pings to say that my stream is live, but considering you only watched 14 hours of me last year.
Will this count as me? What? Oh, this won't.
No, because you don't have the stream open. If you'd had the stream open to read the chat, it would have counted.
Nearly.
I know.
That's good.
So Super D and Booch and some other people have all asked this, and I know this is something that you've talked about before. They all want to know if you ever thought about writing your own book.
Oh yes, 100 times yes. I just don't think. First of all, I don't have the skills. Me and Taff have talked before about doing like some kind of creative writing or something, because I've got like ideas of like storylines in my head, but everything is very fragmented. Like one of my friends asked me to explain to her what my ideas were, and I was like, I just can't. It's just going to sound shit. And I don't understand about developing characters and like that whole, yeah. I think it's one of those, isn't it, that I've read a bunch of books, that doesn't make me an author. Like I can't, it's hard work. I can see that it's hard work.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the things that when we got in the situation where we stopped working, I kind of have had an idea in my head of a book that I wanted to write, and I've always been like, oh, it could be a book, it could be a comic book, it could be a film, it could work in different mediums, like trying to think of how I would write in. So I did buy a lot of books about writing, and so we have talked about doing something like that at some point, like doing it kind of alongside each other.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something I would revisit. It's definitely something I'd like to do. But there's just not enough time. And that's not because I'm trying to read a load of books, but just because of doing other activities. It would need a lot of commitment, I think. But yeah, it's definitely something that I would like to... Oh, can I talk about what I'd like to do? What my dream would be? Am I allowed to talk about it?
Wait, is this is this book related, or are we talking in the bedroom now?
I mean, it's book related.
Because what we would do
I have a dream for the...
What we do in the bedroom related, I think, is more for off screen. Like,
I have a dream for that too.
No, we'll talk about that off screen.
That later.
Yeah.
Okay. Book related.
This is where I'm coming in more vanilla again, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll talk about it though. Let's open the dialogue. Book related. I said to Chris, there's a couple of bookstores that have come up on my Instagram that just do or just specialize in smutty books. Like there's one in New York. I think it's called like Scantily or something like that. And I said to Taff, I feel like, am I allowed to talk about where we live? So we live up in Cheshire.
We live in a nice village, a posh village.
Yeah, like a town.
I think it's been mentioned enough that people would work it out, but I try not to directly say it.
So we live in Cheshire in a town that's fairly busy. And I always say to Taff that I think that this would be the perfect place to open a smutty bookshop, because of all those like sexually frustrated Cheshire housewives that just want to read about a good fisting and all those sexual fantasies that their 70-year-old husband can't fulfill. But Taff pointed, and I still think it's a good idea, but a bunch of people have told me that it's not. But Taff pointed out a very good point that like, Rach, do you read physical books? And I was like, well, no, I've got my Kindle. He's like, exactly. Like, do you think that bookstores are that profitable?
We already have revealed within this conversation that you, one, don't read physical books anymore. And that two, when you did buy physical books at the start of the year, whereas I went to the high street and went into a bookshop, you bought them from Amazon. And also, three, I think bookshops are one of the areas that are struggling most with being on the high street, and you're wanting to open one that's just dedicated to smut.
But I just really felt that, like, the Cheshire the Cheshire Housewives would just love a bit of smut. I just thought that it might, I don't know. I just thought it might be a thing. I just want the world to read smutty books. I want everyone in the world. I want you to read a smutty book, Taff. Will you read a smutty book?
I would read a smutty book. I did consider whether to rush through one of the ones that you'd recommended before this, and I thought I won't do it because I think it would be better to look at one maybe after this stream, because I think that the idea behind these streams really is to like talk. I really like talking to someone about something they love, and like I think My Biscuit said something earlier about Blind Boy saying something about like when you listen to someone talking about something that they're passionate about, it's always more interesting, and I think that's what my idea is with this, is that really it's a way of like me saying to people, oh, tell me what you like so I can see if I like that, and yeah, in a non kink way. I think
I think that the great thing about smutty books, like I said previously, is that there is such a variety. If you just like something that's vanilla, because I read a book once where the guy like slipped a finger and it grazed her asshole or her secret hole or something, and I was like, okay, like and like that was the biggest like taboo thing that happened in the book. And then I read books where they're, what was it called again? Where they're slurping it out. So, you know, there's such a flipping, what's the word? Like spectrum. You can get something slow burny vanilla. You can get something that's like orgy, 20 dicks, double everything penetration. Depends what you, and it doesn't even need to be what your kink is. It's not my fantasy to be like plowed by 5 guys, but when I read it in a book, I'm like, oh, that sounds okay. In practice, not so much, but that's the joy of it.
There's a few people in chat that were saying, I've got the question, Super D. I'm going up and down, so I've got that ready. It's a bit difficult because sometimes like we ask a question and it goes into something, and we're going round the houses.
I'm
with
really
stuff.
Sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I can't give a straight answer to a question or a gay answer to a question. I just physically can't.
Sorry, there's a berry stuck in my straw. I was having to blow it back
out.
Bloody
berries. Give it a good suck, a good hard suck.
Well, I had to give it a blow before I gave it a suck. So,
sometimes that works too.
David said that the I believe regarding the erotic store, that it sounded a lot like a book club idea, and Sparkle also put, I reckon a smutty book club would be more likely to take off. Rach has talked. I did for a while, like when Rach started reading a little bit. Yeah. I suggested book clubs to her. And Rach's answer was, I don't want people telling me what I have to read. So I think the only way that you would get Rach in a book club is that if Rach is the president of the book club.
And if you don't read a minimum of 7 to 8 books a week, you can't be in my book club, because I read a book a day. I'm plowing through that shit.
Some people
have
jobs.
So if you don't read a book a day, then you can't read my fucking book club.
You're plowing.
Everybody's... I'm ploughing.
You're ploughing through books about being ploughed while people are at work.
There's some beautiful like symmetry there.
1030 asked, if you read a lot, do you find it desensitizes you about the content? So, e.g., does it stop being sexy after a bit and you start analyzing it? So I know you've talked a little bit about things kind of going more and more. This was at 10:30 came in with the raid, so you did talk a little bit earlier about that some of the books lately you've been reading some kind of non-consensual, consensual stuff and things like that. Have you found that like the boundaries are being more and more pushed with the stuff that you read now?
I think they definitely got a point where I was reading a lot of the same type of book, and it was just like, oh god, another blowjob scene. Oh god, like she's just getting, I don't know, fucked up the arse again. Like it was just like, oh, whatever. So now I make it a point I alternate all my books. Like I put a lot of thought into it's probably a bit sad, but I put a lot of thought and planning into the book I'm going to read next. I couldn't just see a book and like Taff, you mentioned that I screenshot stuff that I see on TikTok and Instagram all the time. I have to screenshot it and then I have to sit one day and go through everything, read all the reviews, what type of book is it, and then it slots somewhere in my list of stuff so that it doesn't clash with something I've read previously, so that I don't get to a point where I'm like, this is just boring now, because I love it. I absolutely am so passionate about reading this type of genre, and I never want to get to a point, I never want to get in a funk, I never want to just get to a lull and where it's not entertaining me, or it's not engaging me. And which I definitely got to that point a few months ago. So now it's like really important that everything gets every kind of subgenre, I guess, everything's alternated.
Yeah.
So there'll be a lot. Yeah.
I think 10:30 was having a little bit of a conversation in the chat a little bit earlier. He's person who's very interested in like kind of like the work that AI does, and 10:30 does a lot like where he's like experimenting with stuff that AI does. I mentioned that like kind of smutty books are one of the areas that is like less likely to be pushed in by AI writing, because there's kind of a lot of guardrails on it, and I think from what you've said about like things that push the boundaries, it's probably going to be an area that really is always going to be a bit more human led, because of the fact that, you know, if you had an AI model spitting out some of the stuff that you've talked about tonight, I think you'd be a bit like, oh god, whereas it being written by a person.
Yeah, and I think that's most the draw of those books, or for the majority that I read now. Or well, yeah, that it's the emotion that you don't like, that you get from a person that's maybe like experienced a lot of the, you know, especially if it's like a dub con thing, or that's maybe experienced that kind of situation, or is really into to a particular kink, and everything is like a first person sort of perspective. So I don't know if you'd get that same effect from AI, like generated writing.
So your particular recommendations that you put, they were Knock Knock by Nordica Knight.
That's the one with the sorry, that's the one with the cock warming.
The cock warming.
The cock warming in the microwave.
So if you want to read about the cock warming, that's the one for you.
Oh, honestly, it made me laugh out loud. These are in no particular order, by the way.
Losers and Losers Part 2 by Harley LaRue. In the Absence of Light by Adrienne Wilder. Dark Notes. Sorry, I just remembered that I put that on the list. That book, it's a male book, and the one guy has autism, and it is, oh god, it is beautiful. It's such the story. Oh fuck, I wish I could read it again. I read it when we were in Texas, Hen. I don't know if you remember. And there was a second part to the book, and I panicked because I had no Wi-Fi and I couldn't download it. And I was like, I have to read it. I have to read it now. Like, there's certain books I wish could just go on forever and ever. I wish I was living in their lives, because I'm so invested in the people. And that was one of those books. Sorry. Carry on. Dark Notes by Pam Godwin.
Yeah, that was fab. Beautiful.
Torment by Dylan Page.
Yeah, that made me cry because I didn't know who I was rooting for. that was a weird one. I don't want to say anything else because you're going to tell me off that it's a spoiler in case anyone wants to
I'm not
read
going to
it.
tell you off that it's a spoiler,
Well,
but
it's
like
just-
you do
it's
have a
just-
tendency to like spoil.
Right. Spoil it. I know. But that was kind of dub con, but it was weird that I can't say anything without spoiling it. It just made me so conflicted.
These will get
I
listed in the
didn't-
Discord afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good read, and there were lots in that series. There were like 6 books, I think. So.
And the final one you've got on here is Shrek 6 by Simon Nomis.
You're a dick.
I believe that's about. Is that about Shrek having a fuck party? I think you said.
It's do you know what I always think about?
Nomis
whenever-
Nomis is a great writer though, isn't he? This is another in joke that you don't.
You invited me on this stream, and now you're taking the piss.
Look, Nomis. If you watch the streams, you'd know that on a Wednesday, me and Wasp will often do Wasps Happen in Taff, which is a 10-minute news roundup, and there was often a reading of an erotic novel on there. But now I know some of the good ones we'll be reading from them rather
Yeah,
than
but are you going to read them and take the piss? Don't read my
No.
smutty books.
No,
Piss.
we were
'Cause I
reading.
recommended some proper
we were-
heartfelt ones. If you're going to go on.
What? You don't think Shrek Fuck Party 6 is... I mean, if you just jump in with Shrek Fuck Party 6, then yeah, you might find it a bit funny, but you've got to have read, if you've read 1 to 5, you'll find the emotional connection in there. Yeah, 10-30.
You need to have,
you need to have really
invested.
1 to 5
But I
really.
said before that I find it a challenge if there's multiple books in a series and I'm not digging it, I have to keep going and then I don't enjoy it. So what if I read 1 to 5 and I don't enjoy them and then I can't get to 6? Or I get to 6 and I'm like, fucking wish this was over now.
It's the bit where he says, "No, get in my swamp."
Nice swamp. Nice. That was a terrible Scottish accent.
It was a Mike Myers accent, really. I don't.
Wasn't though. No.
Yeah,
Stop.
that's
Oh.
what I was going for, because I don't think 6 is the
Scottish
one we're
people
going
in
through.
chat.
There's a lot of
Call him
Scottish
out.
people in chat, so
Call
yeah,
him out.
we won't
You
dwell on
embarrassed
that for
yourself.
too long.
You're a Welshman. You're a Welshman. You named.
So I think we've pretty much like covered your love for Smut Books here. Is there anything else that you'd like to address before we kind of wrap this up?
No.
I don't think we had any more
Just-
questions. I didn't see chat.
If anyone, if anyone's got any smutty recommendations,
We'll be popping
send them
these.
Taff's way.
We'll be popping the like links that we've talked about into the Discord, and if anyone wants to ask for anything particular, like feel free to pop a question in there. We'll try and I'll get Rach to like look in and answer them. Yeah, but hopefully you enjoyed this, guys. This is something a bit different that we've done. So
Thanks
yeah.
for having me on Taff, and thank you everybody in chat for being so engaging and asking questions. I was worried that this would be one of Taff's streams that bombed because of me. So thanks everybody for humouring me.
When you say one of
And-
my streams that bombs, that implies that there's many other streams that
There's
bomb.
been others. Shit. I mean, I'm really supportive. You do really good work. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. Thanks everybody. Thanks, Hen.
That's all right.
I'm just sat here thinking, have I got time to get a quick chapter in of my book before I go to sleep?
I mean, you'll definitely be reading
There's
a
always
chapter.
time. I'll stay up till fucking 2 in the morning and then, well, I won't stay up that late. Who am I kidding?
I'm
Yeah.
just double checking that I've got. Gonna pop. Is there any other particular authors that you would recommend? I'm just looking at who wasn't featured in your list of people. So I can see you obviously had Nautica Knight, Harley LaRue, Adrian Wilder, Pam Goodwin, Dylan Page, Lucy Score, I've got from the list, and Chantel Tessier.
Yeah, Elsie Silver, if you want like small town romance. I'm looking to see who I follow on Instagram.
Devney Perry.
Perry and Lucy Score. There's loads.
That's all right. I'll pop these in for now, and then if anyone wants to ask any questions, or like pop something in, feel free to stick them in the Discord, and we'll take it from there. But yeah, thank you for the discussion. Hopefully, there's going to be some people I can see. A few people saying this is great. This is the worst possible way to start this series. Nothing can follow this. That this was so good. This was lovely.
Thanks, guys.
Stardust Kittens Empire says, question what makes a Shrek sexy? I mean, look at him. This is
Shrek wear clothes. Oh, he's got like that tatty.
Does Shrek wear clothes?
Remember?
If you had to, like right now, what is Shrek wearing?
Doesn't he have like a tatty jackety thing?
Has he got a top on then? Is he topless under the?
Remember?
He's got a little waistcoat, and then he's got like a white top under it. You're googling Shrek now, aren't you?
My last Google search was docking penis if you don't have a foreskin. Oh yeah, he's got like a tabardy thing on, like not a tabard, like a yeah, okay.
But yeah, hopefully this was enjoyable. I've popped the recommendations in there, and if anyone's got any further questions or anything that you wanna ask about, then let me know, and we'll try and get in touch with Rach. Rach, I will let you go because I know you're gonna want to read a chapter and go to sleep.
My book.
It is 10:15 now.
God, I could have read like the fucking whole book in this time.
I usually know. So for a little behind the scenes of mine and Rachel's life, I start the streams at 8 because we've put Jack to bed by 7. It gives us a bit of time to settle down and stuff, and then I'll start my streams at 8. So Rachel normally go up to bed at 8. Now I usually know that up until about 9:30, Rach is still going to be awake reading her books. So even though Rach goes to bed at 8, she's pretty much hour and a half at least of reading.
At least. Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
I've been getting later and later. So that's a problem.
And
I'm not a night owl.
That's usually the perfect time as well to pop my head round the door if I'm not streaming and go, fancy a quickie. Fancy. Yeah. You've been reading your books. You're warmed up.
But that's it. That's the perfect time. There's no need for foreplay. I'm wet and ready to go. So crack on. Okay. That's enough talk about my vagina. On that note, I'm gonna go and have a wank. Right. Love you all. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Rach.
Bye.
Are you going to know? She didn't know what to do. She'd shut it down.